Welcome back to Lit Snippets, book lovers. Ready for another deep dive?
Always.
Today we're looking at The Pain We Carry. It's by Natalie Gutierrez.
Oh, this one's fantastic.
It's about understanding trauma and healing from it, specifically for BIPOC individuals.
The interesting thing is, Gutierrez, she's a licensed therapist, right? She doesn't just focus on individual experiences,
Yeah.
but also brings in the whole cultural and ancestral piece, these legacy burdens, as she calls them.
Yeah, the idea that history and the systemic issues, like they actually impact our well-being today.
It's not just our own personal struggles, it's bigger than that.
She breaks these legacy burdens down into three types, right?
Yeah, huh?
Cultural, family, and personal.
It's like carrying invisible baggage, you know?
I could see that.
So, for example, that cultural burden, it might come from dealing with systemic racism,
Right.
oppression. Maybe think about the pressure to code switch all the time,
Oh.
or never quite feeling accepted.
Feeling like you don't belong.
Exactly. And those things, I mean, they leave a mark.
Definitely. It's almost like carrying the weight of your ancestors' struggles, too.
Exactly. And then on top of that, you've got family burdens. These patterns and narratives, they just get passed down through families.
Generation after generation.
Yeah, like maybe there's this history of silence around mental health in the family,
Oh, I see.
or like unspoken rules about how you're allowed to express your emotions.
And then, obviously, you've got the personal burdens, the stuff we carry from our own experiences.
Right. And Gutierrez, she uses this really powerful example in the book.
Yeah.
There's this Native American woman, Ayana. She grew up with this really deep sense of scarcity because of poverty and lack of affection.
Oh, wow.
And it impacted her so much, how she formed relationships and even how her own daughters learned to deal with love and conflict.
That's powerful. Shows how these burdens, they can have a ripple effect.
Yeah.
It really makes you think we don't exist in a vacuum, that's for sure.
No.
But before anyone gets too discouraged, this book, it actually offers hope, too.
Absolutely.
Like a real path forward.
That's where her four-step empowerment approach comes in. And it's surprisingly practical.
Okay, now I'm intrigued. What's the first step?
It all starts with the body.
Really?
Yeah, learning to use your body to regulate your well-being. Like, have you ever noticed when you're stressed, your body tenses up?
I totally.
Or your heart races if you're anxious.
Oh, yeah.
It's like we're stuck in this fight or flight mode all the time.
Except.
Constantly reacting to perceived threats, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
And that chronic stress, it just wears you down mentally and physically.
So the first step, it's about calming our nervous systems,
Mm-hmm.
getting back in touch with our bodies.
Exactly. And the book suggests some simple but effective techniques.
Okay.
Things like body scans, deep breathing, just to kind of soothe that stress response.
It sounds all too simple, but
I know, right?
but I can see how that could be powerful.
Right.
Just taking a moment to tune in and calm things down inside. All right, I'm ready for step 2.
Okay, so we've calmed the body down a bit.
Right.
But what about all that deeper stuff?
Yeah.
The, unconscious patterns that we kind of run on.
The stuff we don't even realize is affecting us.
Exactly. That's where step 2 comes in.
Okay.
It's all about mending that shame.
Oh, that's a big one.
Those shaming beliefs with self-compassion.
Easier said than done, I think.
Oh, for sure. And, especially when you think about those legacy burdens, right?
Right, yeah.
All that stuff gets internalized, makes it hard to be kind to yourself.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So how do we even start with that?
Well, this is where it gets really interesting.
Okay, tell me more.
Gutierrez brings in this therapeutic approach called internal family systems.
Oh, IFS. I've heard of that.
Yeah. It's pretty cool.
What's the basic idea?
So basically, it says that we all have these different parts inside us,
Oh.
like an inner family. And each part, it has its own role, its own intentions.
So it's not just like one me.
Nope. Think about it. Have you ever felt pulled in different directions, like conflicting desires?
Oh, all the time. Like stay up late watching TV or get some sleep.
Exactly. That's your inner family duking it out. Maybe there's a part that just wants to have fun.
The fun part.
Right. And another one that's all about responsibility.
The get your life together part.
Haha, yeah. Or maybe even a part that's scared of missing out.
FOMO. So we're not just one self, but all these different sub-personalities.
That's a great way to put it. And here's the really important part.
Okay.
Even the parts that seem negative.
The ones we don't like.
Yeah, even those, they're actually trying to protect us.
Wait, really? So my inner critic,
Yeah.
that voice that's always putting me down.
Even that one. Think of it as a strategy. It came from somewhere, you know.
Hmm.
Maybe you got criticized a lot as a kid. So that inner critic developed to try to protect you from more pain.
By pointing out all my flaws first.
Exactly. So nobody else can get to you.
Wow. I never thought of it that way. So what do we do? Not fight them.
That's the cool thing about IFS. It says we need to understand these parts,
Not try to get rid of them.
work with them. And the pain we carry, it gives you tools to do just that.
Like what?
Well, first, you got to identify your own inner family, right?
Okay.
Figure out who's in there.
Sounds like a fun party.
Uh-huh, right? And then it's about building a more compassionate relationship with each part.
So we're not trying to eliminate them,
Yeah.
but like help them evolve.
Exactly. Because even the parts that seem negative, they want what's best for us.
They're just going about it the wrong way.
Maybe using some outdated strategies.
Hmm. That's interesting. This is really making me think differently about like my own inner world. Okay, so we've calmed the body down. We've befriended our inner family. What's next? All right, so we've worked on calming the body and understanding that inner family.
Right, those internal parts.
But what about the outside world? How do we deal with a system that often feels so unjust?
Yeah, that's a big one. And that's where the last two steps in Gutierrez' approach come in.
Okay.
So step 3, it's about tapping into this source of strength, the energy of your ancestors' wisdom.
Okay, before we go all mystical here, what exactly do you mean by that?
It's not about like seances or anything.
Okay, good. I was getting a little worried.
It's more about recognizing the resilience, the strength that you've inherited
Hmm.
through generations. Like, think about all the stuff your ancestors went through.
Yeah, they had it rough
Wars, migrations, discrimination. I mean, they survived it all.
and passed that strength down to us.
Exactly. So it's about honoring that legacy, not just by like remembering the struggles, but also recognizing the strength they gave you.
I like that. It's like
Hmm.
we're carrying a whole line of warriors inside us.
And then step 4, it kind of builds on that.
Hmm.
It's about learning to live intentionally, even in a system that often feels, well, designed to hold us back.
That sounds pretty overwhelming, to be honest.
It can be. But it starts with realizing you have choices, you have agency.
Even within these systems that can feel so limiting.
Right. It's not about pretending the injustice isn't there, but it is about choosing how you respond to it.
So it's not necessarily about like changing the whole system overnight.
Right. More about making choices that feel right for you.
Choices that reflect your values.
Exactly. Gutierrez, she's really big on this. Striving for perfection in a system that's, well, often working against you.
Yeah.
It can lead to burnout, despair.
So instead, she says focus on intention.
Like, ask yourself, who do I want to be in this situation? What's important to me?
It's like taking back your power, defining your own terms.
That's a great way to put it. And the book actually gives you tools for this too. Journaling prompts, visualizations, even guidance on creating like a personal mission statement.
Wow, this has been such a fascinating deep dive. I feel like I have a whole new perspective on healing and resilience.
That's great to hear. It's a powerful book.
Any last thoughts for our listeners today?
Yeah, if you're feeling weighed down, by those legacy burdens, trauma, remember, you are not your burdens. You have the power to heal, to reclaim your story, to live a life that honors your ancestors and empowers future generations. And the pain we carry, it can really help guide you on that journey.
That's a great message to end on. Thanks for joining us for this Lit Snippet deep dive. And until next time, happy reading.